round 11. We've got an amazing round of footy coming up indeed. And this week, Bar TV will be covering 3 games again, same as last week. We will have the men's plate, I believe it is, the women's cup and the men's cup. So 3 live broadcasts streamed straight to your, wherever the comfort of your place may be on the weekend. We'll be coming to you live with 3 games this weekend from the Hylton Moore Footy Club, home of the mighty Terrigal Avoca Panthers, of course. So without wasting any more time, I'll just see if I've got a thumbs up from Shane, if he would like to come on board. Now we do. Please welcome our lens wizard, Mr. Shane Darwin. He's back with us. Mr. Darwin, how are you?
Very well, thanks, Corey. Good evening to yourself and good evening to everyone that's dialed in on this fairly cold Friday night. And, gee, hasn't it been a cold week this week?
Crazy.
Sun shining, but not much heat out there.
Yeah, it's been crazy cold, hasn't it? I can't believe it. Yeah, we've had ridiculous weather during the games over recent weeks, and now the cold set in as well. So thankfully we're in the commentary box, mate, where it's heated, air conditioned. It's just creature comforts everywhere. Okay, isn't it?
Well, it's been that long, I think, since we've had a couple of weeks off. I think the last time we might have had one on the Friday night, the very next day you guys were at Fay Oval. I took that week off. So it might have been a bit of a blessing, I think, and you're about in 2 inches deep of water. So it's not all air-conditioned boxes, that's for sure, in the old AFL Hunter Central Coast League. And
it won't be at Hylton Moore this week either, I don't think. But forecast rain again, which has got to be one of the wettest footy seasons I can remember. And funnily enough, for all the rain that's been coming down, we've seen games proceed regardless. And I don't know if you saw any footage or photographs of the game at Adelaide Street Oval on the weekend. The games there. I want to just go like this to the powers that be at Adelaide Street Oval, the Killarney Vale Footy Club, for going ahead with that fixture. Good on you. That was great. Now, I know it was the turf is probably not thanking you for it this week. I'm not sure. But, mate, good on you guys for going ahead with that game, because no more washouts. You guys have suffered. They've suffered a few washouts at Killarney Vale, and I reckon it's affected their season, especially in their men's. Their women are going great, but their men's have been affected by, this stop-start season that they've had. There's no doubt. So good on them for going ahead and playing the game. It was dead set, the biggest mud bath I've ever seen. Did you see any images of it? It
was, yeah. I saw some of the photos, and Andy Baldwin posted some good ones on the Saturday afternoon. And gee whiz, the groundskeeper will have some work ahead of them to get that ground back up. I think the Killarney Vale club are over at Baddo Bay tomorrow, so it gives the Oval a week off, and it's going to need a good week off too, by the look of it.
Oh, absolutely, mate. I know it was mental. I vaguely recall playing in those kind of conditions, in times gone by. But mate, I seen the images of the players afterwards. They were just caked in mud, and I think you couldn't tell which team was which with the colour of the jumpers. It was just unreal. So good on clubs that go ahead and take it on and make sure that we don't get any more washouts, because it does affect the season. I think it's great.
And isn't it funny, like the distances between games in this league? We were out at Maitland. We had a couple of little sprinkles, but it was like a green carpet that we were watching in front of us. The ground was in beautiful condition, yet anything on the coast was obviously really copping the rain. In fact, the Newcastle was supposed to be hosting at number 1 last week. That got pushed out to Pasterfield. Yep. And then we saw the photos of what happened down at Adelaide Street. So, it can be a tale of 2 cities across the league, that's for sure.
Oh, fully. Mate, you make a good point there, and without going too much into it, it's an issue close to my heart, the washouts in particular, and buy rounds and things like that. But you are. That's a good point, because it probably highlights just how expansive our competition is and how much ground we cover. I mean, between the Hunter and the Port Stephens as well, we're up a couple of clubs up that way, all the way down to the southern parts of the Central Coast. We cover a huge area of land for a place that's not that far out of the major central city, Sydney. We're a regional competition, I guess you'd have to say. But we really do. When we've got like rain fronts coming through, I literally left here and I missed the first game because my house was flooding because of the banks of the creek was breaching. And then we get up to Maitland, and I have to take my jacket off. It's crazy. It's mental. But yeah, that was great. It was a nice day, good day out at Maitland. So.
Yeah, it was. It was actually a fantastic day. And maybe without, well, do we have any general news to get through, or should we jump into a bit of a recap of last week?
Mate, I've been a bit of a recluse the last couple of weeks, to be honest, Shane. I know, I believe some squad lists have been going out to clubs for the representative carnivals coming up. Now, I don't know. I haven't got hold of one of those. I've been trying to get hold of one. But if anyone out there has a copy of the player squad list, we'd love to know who the league think might be on it. I just want to put a disclaimer on this and let everyone know that nobody on the Bar TV commentary team have had anything to do with that. So we don't know who's on the list or who we don't know who's coaching or anything at this stage. Do you know anything, Shane?
No, I don't. But I'm sure the league will be forthcoming with that list pretty soon. It is now under a month away, 20th of July. So
yeah, that's right. So under a month away, we'd like to start up. Yeah, we'd like to know a few things. Of course, very exciting return to representative football this year for seniors. With that carnival, sounds like it's going to be great. What a great idea. Let's hope we really make a good fist of it and this becomes a regular thing. But trying to get information is like as scarce as hen's teeth at the moment. So I'd like to see one of those squad lists and see who they're thinking.
Maybe next year, Chop, we have a team made solely of bar raisers, and we put all the bar raisers out there for the region. That'd be an interesting game.
That would be good. That would be good because I believe there was one of our bar raisers or in the girls that wasn't included on the squad. I heard on the 8th grapevine.
We'll watch this space by the sound of it.
But I reckon, I would love for the commentary team to actually have a little bit to do with that. Maybe next year, we're pretty close to the ground. We get to see all the games, especially right up to this point. We've seen everyone except Terry Gulavoka, of course. They've been missing in action all year. But knowing that club quite well, I reckon we could have some real impact and input in choosing representative squads. So, little note out to AFL HCC: if you want some help next year, come see us. We know what we're talking about. We do. Don't we, Shane?
We do, if we don't know what we're talking about, we make it up as we go. That's how we operate here.
Yeah. Well, there's two people. They might be. There's two people who think we know what we're talking about. So, hello to our two viewers so far today. So, please send us a comment in the. If you can write a little note in. Is it Facebook that they do it?
Yeah, Facebook. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Write us a comment, so that'll be good. And tell us what you think of what the show is. We've been away. I've been a bit absent, Shane, so I've been finger off the pulse a little bit. I haven't done much content, I'm very sad because I owe a few players some video packages, but they'll be forthcoming, I assure you. Bathroom renovations are not conducive to a man of leisure who much prefers to analyse his local footy league than put in tapware.
Yeah, fair enough too. But it's got to be done, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be done. Otherwise, a man doesn't shower. And if you stand near me at the moment, you'll see why.
Well, yeah, given I'm going to be standing next to you for about 6 or 7 hours tomorrow, make sure you get that shower sorted, mate.
Either that, or let's hope there's some rain, so I at least get a bit of body wash somehow.
Maybe we should jump into last week then, Cori, and have a bit of a look at last week. Of course, we were up at Maitland. It was a fantastic day up there. We got to cover the 3 games with the men's plate, the women's cup, and then the men's cup. It was Indigenous round up there as well. Thank you to Hugh and all the Maitland crew up there. They look after us. It was a fantastic day. Uncle James did a brilliant welcome to country there just before the women's game after the men's plate. So we were spoilt with a great day of 3 games. Looking at the results in the women's, it was I think you were driving the car when there we go. We got Chop being requested to go down to Sydney already. How good's that?
That's Zach Newton out there. Zach, how are you, mate? Nice to hear from you, buddy. He played under me a couple of years ago at Gosford and then a couple of games at Barrow Bay as well. So he's in the Sydney competition now at St. George. I think he's made a return to Sydney footy. So good on you, Zach. Good to hear
good
from
stuff,
you, buddy.
Zach. And we obviously Ashley and I did the women's game while you were battling the torrential rain, the flooding down your way, and it was a really entertaining game. We saw Interest Barrow Bay get out to a flying start. They led 19-0 at quarter time. Yet by the time we blew the whistle for half time, Maitland were up at the break. So it was a real seesawing game, and then the third and fourth quarters were really neck and neck. It was sort of One team would kick a goal, the other team would kick a goal. It was a great spectacle, really entertaining game to watch. At the end of the day, though, the Entrance Paddo Bay got over the line. They won by 10 points, 51-41. Certainly a very entertaining contest. Trop, did you get a chance to watch that one back? What did you think of the game there?
I watched it the whole way. Well, I don't want to say that because I was driving on the freeway, so of course I was listening to it. I was listening to the coverage. You boys did a mighty job, actually, mind you. So it was great to like watch it live from that perspective, because we don't get that privilege, unfortunately. We have to watch the game back afterwards. So I was watching it. I was literally driving up the last street towards that big roundabout at Max McMahon Oval as the final goal was kicked by Paddo Bay. But it quite literally was anyone's game right up until that last 70 seconds or something of the game. And then it was, that last goal pretty much sealed it. But I tell you what I loved about that game was that we saw the Maitland girls dig deep and play a mighty game at home in a year that's been tough for them. They haven't won any games so far. But if that game doesn't bolster their spirits and their inspiration to keep going and let them know, yes, you can do it. Yes, you can compete in the top grade. And yes, you are going in the right direction. Because it kind of rounded out Maitland's whole story this year and showed, because their Resi's men were thumped by Nelson Bay earlier, and we're seeing that regularly now. So Nelson Bay, you're officially on notice. You're playing cup next year, whether you like it or not, and that's all there is to it. Because you can't compete and have results like that and not expect to be challenged in a higher grade. Doesn't matter whether you make the grand final or not. You've had too many results like that. So I'm sending that out to them, and I'm making it official. And if anyone wants to argue, we'll talk down the pub. But that aside, the girls at Maitland, they showed that they progressed forward. They played against a very spirited and great finish from the Entrance Paddo Bay, and I'm close with a lot of the girls in that team who now are still red hot shot for finals, aren't they? Still. In fact,
yeah, well, it's really kept them in the hunt. Yeah, it really is going to be a battle between them and Terrigal Avoca for that fourth spot. That's what it's looking like. So
we'll talk about it as we get a bit further on. But I also reckon there might be another two sides that could potentially find their way in that mix. I reckon there's 4 teams that are going for that last spot, honestly, and we'll talk about that soon. So, but Maitland certainly showed they've got plenty to look forward to.
Yeah, it was. It was a really good effort by them, and like I said, at quarter time, I was getting a little bit worried. I thought, let's not have a real one-sided game here. I don't know what was said in the quarter time break, but gee whiz, the Maitland girls came out firing. Lou O'Donoghue had a big say in attitude around the ground. She had a big say in the jumper as well.
Yeah, I was going to say
jumpers. Were absolutely spectacular. So shout out to Lou because they were really, really great across all 3 grades, and brilliant to see the whole club wearing them across the weekend. It was it was a great jumper.
Sophie Forge was also very good for Maitland. I'm not watching as I was listening. And O'Donoghue's had a really good season, despite Maitland's sort of lack of success points wise. She's had a great year, hasn't she? And what a nice way to top it off with that beautiful jumper she designed.
Yeah, indeed. But take nothing away from the Entrance Paddo Bay. They were really good. They had to lift at halftime. They kept their heads, and they did things when they needed to do things. That last goal, I think it was Jurek that kicked that last goal, was not the world's hardest shot, but certainly not the world's easiest shot, but really composed and iced the game when it needed to be iced. And there was efforts across the ground.
And Jurek was that a nice response to Ash telling her that she's kept playing behind? I heard that call. I went, ooh, she might hunt you down for that. But yeah, she had a great game. Some other great players for the Entrance Paddo Bay. They're a side on the rise, aren't they? The Bay Blue Girls. They're really good. I know some names that I heard called out a lot. Imogen Gray is only just a 16-year-old, I think, and she kicked 2 goals. I know I'll let you announce who the player of the round was, but Bendevsky kicked the. Yeah,
Bendevsky was good, kicked a couple goals. Katrina Barnes up front was good as well. She gave them plenty of ball use through that front. Evie Walkerton in the middle was great all day. It was a battle of the headgears too with with Evie up against who was she on Tanisha Walls. So it was a battle of the headgear there, and they were both really good for their respective sides.
Good if they were butting heads at all, that would have been safe.
Oh, yeah, well, that's right. That's the thing. Now we got to speak with Evie after the game because she was, of course, our bar raiser of the week. So well done. She's I think 16. I think she said. Really, really great player.
I was surprised how little she was when Ash did the interview. And if you want to see that interview, you can see that on Borgie the broadcaster. I think his Instagram handle is that Borgie the broadcaster. So check that out. I saw that interview on there. I've got to find out a way to be able to compile all of this stuff and put it on this show. I think would be great. So I could do it on the. We got 6 viewers at the moment, and Ant Everson, one of our famous goal umpire / field umpire these days, said watching from the goal square, he was waving the flags in that women's game. He said the game was an absolute ripper. Well, he actually wrote it was a yipper, but I think he meant ripper.
I assume so too. Now, speaking of goals in that game, there was one that I was a bit of a fan on, Chop, and I don't know whether you've got the technology sorted to be able to bring that one up for us.
I do. For some reason, I'm on my iPad today, and I'm never doing it again, right? I've got to do it on a laptop because it doesn't give me all the functions that I get when I use the website. So I must be on an app or something, and I don't, because normally I just press a button and I can bring it in, but I can't do it. So I don't know what's going on. I'm having a quick look there because I've got photos. I've got these beautiful photos from Bruce Edmiston, Bruiser Photography, and I thought a little segment I wanted to do was just bring in some photos from a local footy photographer from around the place, and each week because we got some dazzling photographers working on local footy clubs at the moment, and I just thought if they want to send through a bunch of their images, we could just do a little slideshow of it as well with some music or something like that. Get really fancy, but I can't. The button's not here for me to do that.
I reckon we're gonna have to change this up, Chop. Watch out on the grill's going. It's going for global domination. So I think we need to get some of that stuff happening, and we'll work that out next week as going for global domination. As a freight train goes past my house. Apologies if there's any background noise there. Well, there we go. You've ruined my little piece. I had something lined up
don't worry, I haven't given up
on the round.
I'll tell you what I can do. I haven't given up on it, Shane, not entirely. So I don't. When we come up with an amazing initiative like this, I think it's way too good to just let slide. So why don't we show it off my phone?
Well, what we're going to do is while you do that, I'm going to run around the other grounds and just have a look at that.
Good idea.
Out at Rose Point Oval, the Roosters had a good win over Warners Bay. We saw Warners Bay the week before. Really competitive with Amy Pittman's girls there. They went out to Singleton and they got done 40-15, 6 goals 4 to 2 goals 3. We'll park them as a talking point because we're going to see them play tomorrow, and I'd be interested to see what the response from the Bulldogs is. Kalani Vale too good for Terrigal Avoca, 11-10-76 to no score. So 2 teams coming off a loss will be playing each other tomorrow. We've got Terrigal Avoca hosting the Bulldogs, and in the other game. I know Borgie's been pretty big on Newcastle City and was talking about maybe going the season undefeated, but they actually lost last week, 3 goals 1-19 to 3 goals 11 Cardiff. So Cardiff getting the chocolates there. That game was moved out to Parsfield. I don't know whether the home ground had anything with it there, but when you look, the margin was 10 points, but when you look at the number of scoring shots, that was a 14 scoring shot to 4.
That was the big
for Cardiff.
That was the big thing I noticed, mate. For sure, was that 3-11. So it could have been a trouncing if Cardiff were able to kick. And 2 ripping games at Parsfield, can we just say, with the results, and we'll cover the men's a bit later on. But that's a real interesting result there, mate, because I think other than Kalani Vale now, the Cardiff and Newcastle have both beaten each other at different times this year, haven't they?
They have, yes, yep.
Yeah. So, like, Kalani Vale are clearly the market leader there at the moment, and by a little bit, it seems, given their couple of results. But the next in line, wow, that's neck and neck. Could we possibly be looking at a grand final without Newcastle City in the women's?
I'm not going to go that far. I think Kalani Vale will be in that grand final, and there's every chance that Newcastle City will as well. And we know they live for finals as well. All their teams and all their grades, really prime themselves well for a finals campaign. So I'm not going to be writing them off just yet. That's for sure.
No,
so that was,
you'd be a game individual to do that. But I like to stir the mix up a little bit and throw that out there. But I tell you what, it's going to be that top three. I think the premiers are going to be between those three. We know that. But it is exciting for 4 or 5 sides that might still get in for that 4th spot for the Women's Cup. But it's interesting because it could be any one of those 3. It's no longer can we say, well, definitely Newcastle. They're going to be in there. We can't really say that this year. It's been really good, really good.
Yeah, it has. And looking forward to the week ahead with the women. Coming up tomorrow, Newcastle City are going out to Maitland to play the Saints. I think Newcastle City will be too good for the Women's Cup Saints there. And a bit the same story with the Entrance Batter Bay and Killarney Vale. Obviously, they had a great win against Maitland last week, but Killarney Vale are the form side. That one's down at Baddo Bay, so I get along to that one. But the other 2 games may be a little bit closer. I mean, I think on paper you'd say Cardiff versus Singleton. You'd be backing Cardiff. But Singleton has shown a little bit. They had a good win last week over Warners Bay. So, don't write Singleton off is my tip there. Although I think Cardiff will get over the line on that one, which will bring us to the match of the round in the Women's Cup, which is down at Hylton Moore Oval, and it's match of the round for a reason, I suppose. It's got that 4th place side, Terrigal Avoca, who are hosting Warners Bay. Warners Bay, we saw a couple of weeks back, come out and beat the 5th base side, being the Entrance Baddo Bay. So whilst on the ladder, Terrigal Avoca are sitting a couple above the Bulldogs. I think this game is far from a lay down Missouri. This is going to be a real entertaining battle. What do you think, Job?
Well, we come full circle to what I mentioned earlier today, where I think there could be 4 sides playing for that 4th spot. And Warners Bay, I think those girls are definitely in the hunt. Amy Pittman's just leading them just wonderfully at the moment, and they're really resurgent with the last, what have we got, 5 rounds to go. It's only going to take a couple more wins from one of those 4 teams to get in. They're 2 wins behind the Entrance Baddo Bay and Terrigal Avoca. So, they're going to have a really sterling run, but they're not without hope. And this will be a telling result for them. If they are able to get up over Terrigal Avoca then and get themselves within 1 win, within 4 points of them on the ladder, then all of a sudden, the doggies, they're well and truly in the hunt for that 4th spot. So I think this is going to be a really important result for them and for Terrigal Avoca as well. I know they're still settling that they haven't. I don't know if they've fully got into their groove, Terrigal Avoca, but to be honest, I saw them a little bit on the midweek catch-up round against Killarney Vale, and they were belted all over the paddock that night, and as most teams are against Killarney Vale. So I don't know where Terrigal, this weekend's going to be really important for us, especially for us in the commentary crew, to be able to just have a bit of a look at what's happening at Terrigal Avoca. They're a bit of a mystery this year.
Yeah, well, for my mind, the Bulldogs, this is their season on the line. If they lose this one, it's almost a double points game. When you're going for that 4th spot and you're playing the team that's in 4th, you need to beat them. If they lose this one, I think your potential 4 people that could make that list is going to drop off one because, let's be frank, if Warners Bay don't beat Terrigal tomorrow, that's probably their chance of finals done. Yep. But we've seen
Singleton. Singleton, the 4th one. So I just going back to that game. Cardiff will win that hands down. I think there's no question mark in that after just beating Newcastle City. But if Singleton were able to, create a miraculous turnaround, which let's not say they're not capable of it, then I think their season's done as well. But at this point in time, there's still a chance.
Yep, and as you say, we haven't seen Terrigal Avoca play yet, so really looking forward to seeing them play. That game tomorrow is at 11 a.m. I think it was at one stage at 1 p.m. So if you're getting along to watch the Women's Cup, that is now 11 a.m. Then it'll be men's
okay.
play.
So the women are playing.
Women's is at 11 a.m. followed by the men's plate, followed by the men's cup. So if you are getting along to watch the Women's Cup, just be mindful of that. It's an 11 a.m. start, a little bit earlier. Of course, Terrigal Avoca were also runners-up in the Barbecue of the Year last year. Harrison Pitt did a beautiful job on the steak sandwich I had there last year. He's obviously moved on. So shout out if any of the Terrigal Avoca boys or girls are watching there. You've got some big shoes to fill there with Pitty's barbecue work was fantastic last year. So we'll see what that gets delivered on the grill, so to speak.
Are you saying he's good on the grill? He's good on the
He is good on the grill, yes, yep.
All right. Well, be interested to know he'll be on a bit more gas in a couple of weeks' time. So he's flying by. Just as a little note, because we are at Hylton Moore this week. A little side note: Harrison Pitt, who was the Morris Goolagong Trophy winner last year, was he, or was that Croft?
You've got me now as well.
Anyway, he's been right up amongst it. He's one of our most prolific goal kickers in the last couple of seasons. But he is absolutely flying in the Sydney AFL comp for Pennant Hills. I think he's second on the ladder of the goal kicking tally at the moment. Kicking average about 3 to 3.5 goals a game, and just flying along. He's absolutely elite. So good on you, Pitty. Playing very, very well and representing us.
Maybe before we wrap the women's up too, we should give Ashley's tips. Obviously, Ashley's apologies for tonight's broadcast, but he'll be there tomorrow. He said Terrigal Avoca by 42 points over Warners Bay, Newcastle City to win by 80 over Maitland, Killarney Vale by 60 against Entrance Bateau Bay, and then Cardiff by a 6-goal against Singleton. So thanks for those, Ash. We're missing you tonight, but we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow and see how those tips go. Of course, Ash did have a bit of a howler last week with his tipping in a particular game there. I think he was about 150-point difference. But anyway, that was in the men's area. We'll get to that. We'll get to that shortly. Anything else you wanted to add in to the women's before we move on to the men's, Chop?
No. I sort of share very close to Ash's tips on that. I think they probably. I don't know. I think. I'm going to go Terrigal Avoca. I think just over the Warners Bay girls. I think it's going to be a cracker. That's the only one I'm a bit hairy on. Yeah,
no, listen, I'm the same. I'm tipping Terrigal, Newcastle, Killarney Vale, and then Cardiff.
I love a roughie, but, I don't know. We'll see how we go. Good luck to all the girls anyway, one way or the other. So fight it out, and we'll see what happens. We'll have plenty to talk about next week in the women's comp, that's for sure.
That's it. Now, let's move on to the men's. We, of course, were out at Maitland, as we mentioned earlier, when we talked about the women's game. We were pretty primed for what was a battle between, I think, was it 6th and 7th going into the ground? Everything was sort of hinging on it being a really tight battle. We'd seen the Entrance Bateau Bay fight pretty bravely the week before. Maitland were coming off a couple of weeks off with the Monarchs' birthday long weekend, the bye the weekend before that, and an absolute stinker the week before that against Killarney Vale. And I was going to say apologies to Dusty and the team for calling it a stinker, but listen, I think I got to call it how I see it. That was a stinker a few weeks ago, and
yeah, it was. I think to own that.
Yeah, and it kind of felt going into the game that maybe the Entrance Bateau Bay were in with a chance, but what we saw was a one-way demolition: 21-9, 135 to 1 goal 9-15. Maitland just way too good for the Entrance Bateau Bay. Chop, you were there for that one. Tell us what you thought.
Oh, it was, not so much for the Entrance Bateau Bay. They were absolutely shell-shocked virtually from the start. But one thing the Entrance Bateau Bay can be hopeful of is that they've got this process ahead of them, which is the breaking the shackles of being a lower place side and emerging as a side that can play finals, that can contend for a Black Diamond Cup. That's ahead of the Entrance Bateau Bay, and we can't forget that they're in their second season. So a lot of young players and new players, and they're learning at the top comp. And there was a very good example of that learning curve that you go through for the Entrance Bateau Bay on the weekend. But for Maitland, who've been there not so long ago, the sides that are, they're still bringing up the bottom half of the ladder at the moment. But I thought their weekend was one of those shackle breaking, barnstorming matches where they finally got to show what they're all about and show just how good they are. They had a couple of weeks leading into the couple of weeks off, and they were, I think I said it a few times through the commentary, that they just weren't hitting their straps. They weren't where they were in those first couple of games when they were beat Killarney Vale and they had a win against the Entrance Bateau Bay. And they were showing signs of emerging as a very good side and likely to play finals. And then it's sort of something went a little wrong there. And I think it's just all part of the transition from, an emerging side from being down below, and they sort of started getting a little careful and a little cautious. And, they knew they had the structure and the strategy. They knew they got the players. They knew they got the cattle to be able to sort of drive it. But they were just being too cautious, trying to get it so right all the time. And it came undone against Cardiff. Fast forward 2 weeks to Saturday, and oh my God, what a turnaround. They were pulling the trigger from half back and just going for it and getting the goals. Finally, we saw multiple goal kickers right across their team. The midfielders were going down and backing up and, doing their double back run. Their overlap run was direct. Their use of the ball was fantastic. They didn't panic, and they just went from strength to strength every quarter. So, Dustin Spriggs, congratulations to you and your boys at the Saints. I very much hope that's one of those games where all of them can grab that belief and go, yeah, we can do it. That's where we're at. That's what we're all about, because that's where your season can finish for the rest of the year. And you will shake up some top-end sides with those kind of performances. It was absolutely brilliant. We saw little DJ getting up high in the air. We saw, Rylan Hoffman sort of break through as a genuine key forward type to carry them through. The midfield, Charlie Walker was just unbelievable. He was freakishly good.
Wasn't he?
The
Yeah.
D'Amicos, I love the D'Amicos. They were great. They had winners all right across the field. So
I think the hardest job they would have had out at Maitland on Saturday night was picking best players, because how would you have picked your best in a lineup where everyone was on fire? It was a great team effort. They had that real trust back in their play. It was like they were happy to pull the trigger and just let it happen. And wherever it was going next, that player was on board for that as well. And it was really good to see. I love Maitland, and I was really. As I mentioned at the start there, where we started talking, I did think it was a stinker a couple of weeks beforehand.
Yeah.
And it was great to see the club bounce back.
What a difference in the side, wasn't it?
Win, yeah, it was almost like looking at two different teams, and maybe it was the change of jumper. They went out of the usual strip into the Indigenous strip. Maybe they put a few ringers in. They were the same players, but they were just playing in a different fashion. That's
what I reckon, mate. I reckon it stung, that last loss. I know what it's like being in sides that perform like that, when you know you're at this level and all of a sudden you can't get beyond that level and you just shut down. And it's embarrassing. It was an embarrassing performance because they know they're better than that, and they obviously did some real soul searching in the time off. And I love that. That's what I love about football, and I love that kind of turnaround can occur. And then all of a sudden we see Maitland exactly where they should be. Now, whether that's going to be too little, too late to make a rush for the finals, who knows? But as long as they can continue to play with that level of intensity, because like Ben Gibbons for the entrance Batter Bay won almost every ruck knock. He was fantastic in the middle, funky. So he was winning every ruck knock, and they've got Pat Murphy in that midfield. They're not shabby in the midfield. The entrance Batter Bay. But the midfield of Maitland just monstered them. They were winning every clearance, running in numbers. They had great structure. And, and Pat Murphy had a great game, I thought. He still played really well for the entrance Batter Bay. But they didn't have any answers in replies, so, unfortunately. But that was a lesson that they'll take away from them. But more importantly, out of that, I think both teams will get plenty from it, because the entrance Batter Bay can go, well, that's what we're aiming for over the next couple of seasons. That's what we need to become. And they can do that. Maitland can say, we're there, boys. We're there. We've got to keep that consistency and that level of intensity, and we'll play finals. They can really take it up to the top two sides. And, we see this week we've got the top two sides of the two sides we've expected to see it there, up there for the last 12 years, are back on in the top two in the men's division. Whether that's a sign of where we're going to go for the rest of the season, who knows? But sides like Maitland are going to compete with them now.
Yep, and of course, we'll get a chance, not to see it on the coverage, but certainly see the results tomorrow night. Maitland are hosting Newcastle City. So, Dusty's boys were flying last week. They get the chance to come up against a Newcastle City team who only had a narrow win. Let's see where Maitland are at, because, gee whiz, they look so good. They look so good on Saturday. It was really great to see. Dare
I say this, Shane? This could be the round that we see that official changing of the guard, because if Warners Bay have a win this weekend and Maitland have a win this weekend, and I think they're very real possibilities, and we see the top two sides knocked off this weekend, I think there's a real chance. There's a real chance that can happen this weekend. So not to put the wind put the wood on Terrigal Avoca and Newcastle City, but it's an even competition, and we've got two sides that are playing good footy and hitting their straps. And I think Warners Bay got good reason to be excited this weekend.
Yeah, and listen, I don't know whether you can share Ant's comment that he's just put up there too, Chop, because he's highlighted Kobe Ellison's booming talks, and gee whiz, weren't they good to watch? I mean,
mate, I can't believe we didn't have more rain when he was launching them. He was absolutely from the week before, where there was so much driving rain. Every time we tried to launch one into outer space, it barely got above tree level. But then on the weekend, he just, oh my God, I'm surprised they didn't have to recover a few of them from Tasmania. He was just launching those balls, wasn't he?
Yep.
He's got a couple of tree trunks for legs.
Indeed. Really good game out there. In the other games, down at Adelaide Street, it was an absolute mud slog, as we talked about at the start of the broadcast. Terrigal Avoca getting up there 5-8-38 against Killarney Vale 2-3-15. We'd spoken not on the grill because we'd had a couple of weeks off, but we'd mentioned amongst our group chat that this was kind of do or die in some ways for Killarney Vale. Once again, when you're up a team that's potentially who you're vying with for a top four spot, you've got to beat them. And Killarney Vale have missed the opportunity there, obviously in tough conditions. Terrigal Avoca just too good. And that's going to make Killarney Vale's run for the finals, for my mind. I'm almost going to draw a line through them. As much as I love Shaq and the boys, it feels as though that may be a bridge too far now.
It's really disappointing, Shane, I have to say, for them. Fair enough. They've had games that each week is an opportunity to progress further up the ladder. But that side feels to me like it should be a finals playing football side. It really does. And especially with their prep and the way it was. And you don't want to blame it on things outside of, the performances, I guess. But I just feel like, I don't know, there's more to them not being further up than what it is. And greatly issues beyond their control. And, I talk about washouts and stuff. But, I mean, Terrigal Avoca have also experienced a bit of that too, and managing to keep eking out these gutsy wins, and they're outperforming my expectations, Terrigal Avoca, that's for sure. And on the weekend, I thought the Bombers would throw everything at that, and I know they've got a lot of injuries. I know Ryan Arthur's recovered from a broken bone, and I think they're still struggling with getting a few players available fit. And they had something like 12 of their top liners out or something from the week before. So they were kind of happy that their rerun of the washout was washed out again. But they couldn't avoid this weekend's game against Terrigal Avoca. They were going to have two in a row in the space of a week. They only got the one. But the mud obviously played a big part. But it's a great leveler, that type of thing. It makes it an even game. And Terrigal were able to just eke out another really good win that has got them surprisingly into the second place, and the ladder just seems a bit all discombobulated for me. I mean, Cardiff sitting at fourth just doesn't make any sense to me.
No, and didn't we say, was it round 5 or 6? Terrigal Avoca hadn't won a game. They'd had a couple of buys in that, and they hadn't won a game. And now here we are sitting here a few weeks later talking about how Terrigal Avoca are in second place, and you sort of scratch your head. How did they get from no wins to second place? But obviously on match result percentage, they're doing okay. Yep. They've got a couple of games in hand too. So if they win those games, they'll legitimise where they are on the ladder. If they lose them, they'll still be a top 4 side. Right. Yeah, but we'll see that.
But they've had an interesting season. It's been hard for us, hasn't it? Because we literally haven't seen them. We don't know what they look like. Other than I'm personally close with a lot of players there, but I haven't spoken to a lot of them. And I don't know. I could be wrong, but I get a feeling there is a bit of an air of secrecy around the Terrigal Avoca Footy Club at the moment. I think being a side, they didn't pick up a huge number of recruits, not like some of the other clubs. But whatever they are doing there, it's working, and they're winning these games. And like you said, it took them a little while to get some points on the board, but all of a sudden we're looking at a ladder that we've expected to see every year for the last 12 years. So
dare we say, stalking the competition like a panther, Corey? Maybe that's what's happening there.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We were joking that maybe I caught up with our good friend Alex Tagani last week. He was in town, and we were actually going to call one of the Terrigal games, but they didn't end up doing the broadcast there. But we were just sort of joking about maybe they're going to pull a Trent Stubbs on us. Maybe they've got some. If you remember Trent Stubbs, I don't know if you were around.
No, it was before I got up here. Yeah.
Yeah. 2022, he was a kicked 5 goals in a quarter, and did just about all he could to secure the grand final win for Killarney Vale. So against Terry Gulliver, funny enough. So maybe they've got a Trent Stubbs that they're keeping under wraps out there. We're waiting to see.
There we go. And of course, the third and final game last weekend was an absolute nail biter. It was supposed to be at number 1 Oval, got moved out to Pasterfield. So Newcastle City had their home ground advantage nullified in that respect. But we saw an absolute battle, 10-6-66 to 9-10-64. Newcastle City getting up by 2 points over Cardiff. What a great game! Obviously we were out at Maitland, but from all reports, this was a classic sort of seesawing battle. And two sides that are going to knock it long into the finals, going at each other. What more do you want?
Well, I wonder what happened there. Like, I really wish I knew more. I wish we were able to. I wanted to do Friday night games next year so that we could, maybe go along to a Saturday game or something. But this was unreal. 2 points in it. Cardiff led all the way. All 3 changes, Cardiff were in front. And then barnstorming finish by the Blues in the last quarter, 4 goals to 2, got them over by 2 points. So I want to know what happened. Did the Hawks? Are there any Hawks or Blues out there watching tonight? Let us know a little bit about this game because I'm absolutely intrigued. What happened? Did the Hawkies run out of juice, or did something else? Was it Big Jordan Deere? Who kicked all the goals in the last quarter? I don't know anything about it. I need to know. All week I've been wondering what's going on there. So obviously, they kicked 4 goals in that last quarter. So something turned around because they were like 8-9 points down at three-quarter time. So it's a 20-point turnaround at the end of the day. But I thought Cardiff have been finishing strong in their game. So I was very surprised to see it.
Yep. Listen, it's great for the competition to have a really even league. We've seen that across a variety of different games, and this one just really makes me salivate for the finals because I'm sure these two clubs will be sitting there in sort of late August, early September. And if we're getting games like that in the finals, what more do we need?
Are there concerns there? Is Danny Priest got any concerns at Cardiff because they've gone wobbly against the 2 top sides, Terrigal and Newcastle City, and I think they've got a squad that's good enough to win a premiership. Myself, I feel like they've got a little bit of like collie wobbles against the top 2 sides. Do you know what I mean? I think they might just be a little wary, playing more on reputation rather than what they're capable of. Because I think Cardiff have got squads that are good enough to beat those top 2 sides and to control the game for 3 quarters and then go down, by 2 points. I don't know. I wonder if there is. We'll have to find out next time we watch.
Yeah, and listen, without being close enough to know whether there are any injuries or any players that had, that had the week off for whatever reason, it's hard to make that comment from afar. But Danny's a good coach. He'll be getting the boys set. So we'll see what comes of it there. Moving on to this week, we will see the Maitland Saints against Newcastle City out at Max McMahon. We talked about how good Dusty's boys were last week. What chance do you give them against Newcastle City tomorrow, Chop?
Well, I'll give them a good chance. But Newcastle class, they are all class. They've got some powerful forwards up there who are all in the mix again. I think the Big Pong has been in their best players on every week that they've put best players up. I think they've missed out on 2 weeks where they didn't put them up. So Jordan Deere's gun, like they I don't know. They're just hard to beat. They just keep on rolling on, don't they, Newcastle City? Mitch Crawford's doing a great job with them up there. Look, if it's ever going to happen, it's going to happen this weekend for Maitland after coming off their win last week, Maitland spirits will be sky high. It'll be just whether they can, Dustin Spriggs can level their headspace out enough to make them believe that, yes, you can beat Newcastle. Forget about every result that's happened every game all year this year and every other year. Forget reputations, forget who's sitting where on the ladder, and just go out and attack this game like there is nothing to lose, literally. And with the belief that you can beat the top side in the competition, because they definitely can. They're capable. If they play a game somewhere along the level of what they did last week, it'll be a much harder contest because they'll have to try and sustain that against the market leaders for 4 quarters. not just play against the bottom space, inexperienced side that are just going to fall away through the rest of it. So they'll be tested. They're capable of doing it, and with all due respect to Newcastle City, I love the Blues, and I think they're deservedly at the top of the ladder. There's no doubt. But I would love to see someone like Maitland create an upset tomorrow. It'd be really important. I don't think it'll make too much difference to the Blues season one way or the other if they were to get knocked off, because they'll just go back, regroup, and and still prepare for a good finals campaign. There's no doubt. But it'd mean the world to the Maitland Saints and to the greater community to see a result like that. So if it's ever going to happen, it's going to happen tomorrow. But they'll have to be as good as they were last week, and that progressive step forward again.
Yeah, and listen, they'll be missing Harry Cornford too. We saw him go down with a shoulder in the last quarter. Only a young player, but he adds a lot of value to Maitland, so they'll lose a bit of run there.
Yeah, boy, has he just come back from an injury too, didn't he? So it literally was 1 week back in, and it had a blistering first half too. I thought he
did, yeah. So they'll miss him. Listen, my heart says Maitland, my head says Newcastle, and Ashley's also tipping Newcastle by 30 points. So we'll keep an eye on play AFL throughout the afternoon and see what happens.
What am I going to do? What am I going to do, Shane, on this one? I'm the same. I don't know if sentiment's going to drop me over the edge. Yeah, I'm going to. You know what? I'm going to go with Spriggsy's boys, but I reckon there's just going to be something magical about them tomorrow. I'm going to go by 8 points.
Beautiful. Love it. Absolutely love it. We've got the Entrance Battle Bay hosting Killarney Vale. That is, I think they're 6th and 7th on the ladder, so they are the bottom 2 place teams. On paper, though, I think Killarney Vale would be favourites there. Can Terrigal Avoca match them, Chop? Where are you seeing that game sitting?
The Entrance Battle Bay, you mean?
My apologies. Yep. The Entrance Battle Bay.
No, that's all right, mate. Like I said, I think Killarney Vale have got a football side and a squad that should be playing finals. They should be further up the ladder than what they are. They aren't, which is probably indicative of the closeness of the competition. The Entrance Battle Bay, it's a growth year. It's a progressive year. It's always going to be a tough year for them to get a victory this year, and especially with the way that some sides are playing down a competition that shouldn't be. So I don't think they'll get there this week. The Killarney Vale Bombers have a little bit to prove at the moment too. So they'll want to try and salvage something from the year so far. And I think they'll probably have a fairly safe win.
Yep, I agree with you there. I'm going to take Killarney Vale by 25 points. Ashley's taken them by 36 points. I think we're all tipping the Bombers to get up there. And then, of course, that brings us to our match of the round, 3 p.m. 11 a.m. for the ladies' game. Then 1 p.m. we'll be covering the plate game. That will be also live, free, and in high definition on Bar TV. And then at 3 o'clock, we get the match of the round for the Men's Diamond Cup, which is the Terrigal Avoca Panthers up against the Warners Bay Bulldogs. Well, tell us about this one, Corey, because this is really this is match of the round in its truest sense. Both teams showing a little bit this year, and I'm excited for tomorrow. What are you thinking?
Wow, I'm excited to see Terrigal Avoca. I want to see them play. This because my club, my home club that I was with for many years. So I know a lot of the boys that are playing there. And I've coached a good portion of them at some point. So I am closely aligned with them. But I just haven't been able to see them. So they're a bit, the jury's a little bit out for me. I can't make an assessment on them without seeing how they've played. But their results are suggesting that they're going along really well. But tomorrow they're going to come up against the Warners Bay that have been beaten by them already this year. And I think they'll go in. Warners Bay will have learned a little bit from that last game. Warners Bay have got some new weapons to unveil tomorrow too, which I think is going to be really exciting. They've got some exciting new stock that have come through mid-season that I feel like Terrigal have performed beyond expectation a little bit at the moment and have flown under the radar somewhat. But I think Warners Bay are going to beat them tomorrow.
So I've only heard rumours of there being some big news for Warners Bay. What I heard though was that Mark Dignam is actually one of quintuplets, and there's 4 other big digs that are going to be drafted into the side. and they're going to change their name to the Warners Bay Big Digs. Is there any truth to that, Trevor? Are we going to see the Big Digs out there tomorrow?
The Warners Bay Bull Digs is actually what they're going to be
called. The Bull Digs or the Big Digs, whatever we want to call them. Are there another four Big Digs out there? Is that the rumor? Obviously, I won't push you to that because we'll find out tomorrow when we see the teams.
Well, I don't want to. I don't want to. Oh, well, the teams have been announced. So the teams are out. So I'm going to open up the internet right this minute, and I'm going to talk about. I do know a little bit of inside information. I'm in a privileged position, so I get a little bit of.
Well, don't ruin your privilege there, Chop. We can wait till tomorrow.
I'm not going to blast anything that that's going to get me in any strife or whatnot. But if I quickly open up Warners Bay, where is it? There it is. The Warners Bay Terrigal sides. I'm not saying anything out of line here. There's a few names on there that I don't recognise. There's a recognisable name that it's coming back to the side. Yeah, you might notice the last 5 names, Brett. The last 5 names on their team list are new.
Yeah, so I don't recognise a few of those, and there's not 5 Dignams on there either. So it looks as though we're not going to get a team of 5
they're not
Dignams.
The 5
but anyway,
but they could be in the mould of a Mark Dignam. Put it that way.
There you go.
I think they're about to unveil some weaponry that are going to at least keep them in that top 4 for the rest of the year and possibly even progress up. But put it this way, I am on the edge of myself. I can't wait for tomorrow's game. I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot of the boys that I know well play. I feel like I've been a little bit denied watching some of those boys. They're good friends of mine, and that's in the Terrigal side. Jaden Morgan is a young fella that's kicking goals and apparently just kicking like the goals of the week every week. So we as Bar TV have been denied. Apparently he kicked one for virtually, the other side of the boundary, and it just curved around in the wet. Like, this kid's a bit of a freak. Former Batto Bay Junior, and Terrigal have picked him up, and he's been kicking goals for them up in full forward. So can't wait to see him play. Tristan Carter is playing some good footy there as well. I'm looking forward to seeing Terrigal play. Really looking forward to seeing these new unveilings of Warners Bay Bulldogs, because I think they're very excited up there at Fayen Oval. I think some good times, but hopefully not early celebrations. But I think confidence is about to skyrocket through the roof. So. Yeah,
well, it's good, for the league as well to see the team. I mean, Warners Bay, I was going to say narrowly missed out on finals last year. It was a couple of games in the end. They were one spot off. They've recruited really well already this year. We've seen what a difference the Big Diggers made to that side, and the guys around him. And so a couple of other recruits. I'm excited not only for the Bulldogs, but also for the whole league, because it's really great to have new clubs pressuring, representing. I think it gives probably a little bit of an incentive to the Maitlands of the world as well. Well, maybe we jag another player next year, and suddenly we're in the finals race again and whatever else. So
hopefully even beyond that. And that's a great point, Shane. Even beyond that. So obviously the entrance Batto Bay get encouraged, but Wyong and Nelson Bay, who should be preparing for Black Diamond Cup competition next year, right now as we speak, encourage them and say, well, good, now you've had your chance down there. It's time to come up and start making inroads in cups. So yeah, you are right. They've done. It must be a good place up there at Warners Bay at the moment, because they're getting great personnel coming in, and their old hands are playing great footy as well. They lost Brad Jobe a couple of weeks ago. He's got to have some surgery. I don't think he's going to come back. But it's like he's gone and 5 replacements have come in. So he'd probably even have to fight his way back into the side if he decided to come back. But
he probably will, yeah.
Some of their players, like Cori Deverell was our bar raiser of the week. Sorry, Cori, you probably didn't know that, mate, because I haven't done your package, and we weren't on air at all during the week. So, but he did. Cori Deverell was playing great footy there. Brady Sweetenham, it was close not to get it. I think the other week he played great and kicked 4 goals or something. So they've got players all around. Tom Scrimmers rucking great. Roachie's playing good footy. They've got so many great players. Harrison Harkness is playing good footy. They're playing really good footy, all the old players, and then they've got this injection of new players that, mate, they're going to shake September. They are going to shake it. And I think we're going to get to see a little bit about what they're all about tomorrow. So
yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Of course, 3 p.m. live, exclusive, high definition on bartvsports.com.au.
yes.
You guys all know the drill, I'm sure. While we're shouting out Bar TV 2, they have uploaded, if not this afternoon, it will be happening very soon, all the previous episodes of On the Grill. So you'll be able to see episodes 1 through 7, this being episode 8. So 1 through 7 will be linked through the Bar TV website. We're trialing a little bit of a streaming thing here this evening that may be going to their website or may not. I've got that running in the background on the computer, but either way, we'll get that uploaded as well.
With that news, Shane, that means I must do some technical research during the week so that we have graphics, and let's get a theme song for the start, and we'll roll some credits at the end. We'll show you our Bar TV, bar raisers. We'll have it all done for next week and make it really exciting. So we'll be.
Well, I don't think there's any secret that first step is Bar TV, and then the next step is probably Fox Footy. So we've got to really get that sorted out. Chop. We've got to make ourselves, take that step up.
We can't have just our talking heads going blah, 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 the whole time. Exciting graphics and some animations and things like that. But thanks, Bar TV. That's so great. It's really exciting to be able to get that. Second bite at the cherry with this sort of stuff. So we're trying to do our best with it. We're trying to include some new innovations with the broadcasts and all that sort of stuff. So we're trying to raise the profile. And there's my favourite, Maxi Quinlan's online. So good to see you, Max. Good luck this weekend, buddy. I'm still the voucher's still up for grabs for the goal from the middle of the ground.
Well, I was hoping to take that voucher and add to it a bit too, Chop. And I hinted earlier there was a video that we'd put together during the week, which was actually my goal of the round. And it was from the women's game out at Maitland last week. Maitland against the Entrance Battered Bay. In the second quarter, it was Melanie Bendevsky from the Entrance Battered Bay. Grabbed the ball running into to sort of an open goal. Had a couple of...
It's got to be seen.
Had a couple of little fumbles or whatever, and ended up doing a drop kick through the big sticks. And I don't know how often that happens.
You see this?
You can move it. Yeah, there we go. We're going to see if
it's not high tech.
Might be able to play it on the screen, but it's probably going to be a. There we go. That's the good. You had it. You got it. Yep, it's going. So we'll see whether we can see it on the little mini screen there that Chop's holding up, but. It was a drop kick, and it got me thinking, how often do we see the drop kick? So not the drop pump, but the actual drop kick where the ball touches the ground before the player's foot then connects and puts it through. Here goes Melly. There it is. Beautiful. We might get a slow motion replay there as well on that one. So I thought we might open it up. Not only are we doing the goal from behind the halfway line, but maybe if we get a drop kick, and I'm going to say from greater than 20 metres, so Maxie and the boys at Newcastle, the offer's there for you boys and anyone else, and boys and girls in any of the grades. We're going to need to see a video proof of it, of course. So if Bar TV's covering, we'll have that. But if not, get your mate to record you. If you can drop kick it from more than 20 metres out and score the goal, we'll see if we can find you a carton as well.
You know what? You've got every coach in Cup just absolutely fuming, going, "If any of you try dropping kick, I don't care." Mate, I watched the thing on, there's these on Instagram and stuff. There's a lot of I wish I had them when I was trying to play footy, but these professional coaching things. I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know what you call them, like elite level training and all that sort of stuff. They give you all these great little tips and little coaching insights and stuff. Yeah. And one of them said, I don't remember a coach ever telling me to do this, but when you kick goals, if you go kick, roughly there's 50% of them are kicked from a set shot, 30% are kicked from a running goal, 20 are kicked from, hard on the boundary. And it says you should practice your goal kicking with that same sort of percentage. And so it said something like 12% should be kicked as a banana kick. So we were never allowed to practice banana kicks at training.
No, that's it. Well, listen, maybe we bring back the drop kick. So, hashtag something. What did I think Borgie had a good hashtag for us to drop it like it's hot. So we were hashtag drop it like it's hot. Show us your drop kick. See if you can slot one through. We'd love to see it. That or the kick from behind the halfway line.
It looks like we've got the Blues boys back online for us again this week. We love it when the Blues boys, especially their forwards, come alive. And it looks like Michael Hendry's going into the forwards tomorrow. You don't keep a Derby winner in the stables. You let him run free. So Michael Hendry, he could be the one. He could be the one. How many? How many's he got in him?
Well,
you got tough task against Maitland tomorrow. They're a brand new shiny side at the moment, aren't they? So. It's going to be a bumper game. Looking forward to all the players out there, by the way. If anyone wants to give us a bit of a rundown on the other games, I know we're trying to get something happening with Andy Baldwin where we can chat to him during the week. And if we're at different games, we're going to try and get a little bit of coverage. But it'd be great to hear like either players or somebody from watching other games that we're not at to give us a bit of detail. Tell us who played well and whatnot. Because we don't like to harass the coaches too much. But if we can get some rundown on the games that we can't see, we can talk a little more about them when it comes down to it. So, yeah, even footage or images. If you got them, send them through. 4-quarter chop. I'll happily receive them.
Good call out. Now, before we wrap things up, Chop, this week is Volunteer Week. So anyone that's watching, if you're a player, obviously get out there and support your volunteers. They're the guys and girls that are, marking the lines, putting the pads out, rubbing down, cutting the oranges, manning the canteen, doing all that sort of stuff. So it's a great opportunity to recognise them. And if you are a volunteer,
emptying the bins at the end of the game,
all that good stuff. If you're a volunteer, give yourself a pat in the back for a job well done.
It's one of those lasting images for me. If you're ever the last person leaving a footy ground, you'll always see it's usually a club president or someone like that, unless the club president's got plenty of pull and is able to get on top of it. They're the last ones leaving, and they're the ones carrying a couple of garbage bags back to wherever the mini skip is. But it's just a lasting image for me whenever I leave a footy club, and I'm one of the last ones to leave to see who is it. I wonder who it is that's going to carry the bins.
I tell you what, Chubb, I was president for a few years over in South Australia, and you'd be sitting there sweeping the tape off the floor in the change rooms that had just been thrown around going, why can't you... I won't say the word because we're obviously live on air. Why can't you throw your bloody tape in the bin? And here I am, the club president, sweeping up the rooms at the end of the game. But anyway, you wouldn't do it if you didn't love it.
Isn't it? The presidents have got to be the first one at the meetings and the last one after the games. It's a big gig. A little shout out to all the club presidents out there. You're doing a wonderful job. The competition's going along really, really well at the moment. So certainly from a playing perspective and a performance perspective on field from the players. So it's a really even competition. I'm really enjoying being part of it from where we're at the moment. But yeah, so well done all you club presidents out there. Little shout out to all of you.
Yeah, and Ant's just giving a shout out to the canteen managers. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the canteen managers. I like to savour their wares every week. I think we had Mel in the canteen and Frank on the barbecue last week doing a great job at Maitland. So looking forward to tomorrow.
So you've got a little competition, Shane, that you have.
I like to just keep a bit of a rating system for the year of
let's
usually
highlight this.
So it's best food. It's sort of started off being as best barbecue, but obviously some of the clubs are having barbecues, some are just doing other stuff. Last year was won by Cardiff, and that Works Burger at Cardiff. I got to sample that a few weeks back, and that's still top of the list this week. But I tell you what, mate,
I have one of them too.
Yeah, Maitland have shown up and brought some stuff too. We've been out there a couple of times. The chicken burger's good. The egg and bacon roll that Frank cooked last week was pretty good until I dribbled the egg right down my jumper and was a mess for the rest of the day.
I think that's a good egg and bacon roll is when the egg rolls down your shirt. It's really good because you've got runny egg. I've got to say, they do a great chicken roll there, but they didn't have it on Saturday. They have the roast with the roast gravy, and they just smother the chicken in the gravy, and it's really good. I like it, but it wasn't there on Saturday, unfortunately.
Yep. Seconding Ant's comments there, Cardiff Canteen does rule. They do a very good job.
They've got a great canteen manager out at Hylton Moore tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to catching up with her and enjoying some of the fare that will be on served tomorrow. So, speaking
of fare, Chop, I better think about getting my myself some dinner as well. We've been chatting away here for an hour and a quarter. Geez, Maxie's just reminded me about the pulled pork roll at City, which is pretty good too. I got to admit that.
Get us up there. Get us up there.
That's right. We haven't been to City yet this year. I think we're
No.
2 weeks away, 2 or 3 weeks away.
Shane, it's spinning me out, right? We have not been to number one, and we haven't been to Hylton Moore. And the two sides are at the top of the ladder at the moment, and they're the two sides that we see least of all. I think we only see the Newcastle boys 3 times this year, and we'll probably see Terrigal twice in the end, which is
Well, I think the Terror, we were supposed to have been there earlier. That was rained off. So the rain hasn't helped us in that one. But we'll definitely get up to number one. I think
we've got one visit out to number one before the end of the year. But it's certainly we'll have a look at that schedule next year, so we make sure we get out there and see it. That pulled pork burger is good. So I'm definitely I'm hungry as I want one now.
Well, there you go, Trot. That might be a cue to sign off.
Our bar raises this week. Sorry, the one's just gone. Was of course Evie
Walkenden. Yep.
Evie Walkenden for the women's. Congratulations. Your mum gets a $50 voucher, and of course Charlie Walker, who was just absolutely scintillating in the midfield. I think he had about 40 possessions and kicked a couple of goals as well. So well done to those two players. At the entrance batter bay for Walkenden and Walker. Walker and Walkenden. What?
There you go.
Neither of them walked at all. They were doing.
No, they were always running.
Yeah. Walker and Walkenden. How about that? That blew my mind. I didn't realise that until now. I would have if I did the graphics earlier, but never mind. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, Mr. Darwin. Thank you for tonight.
Thanks for having me, Chop.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. And good luck to everybody out there this weekend. Play well, enjoy yourself, and how good is footy? We'll see you at the games and again back here next week. Good times. Signing off.